Hello, everyone. For those of you who have just joined us, welcome. Thank you for joining today's Indeed Jobcast on navigating the job search during COVID-19. I'm Danny Stacey. I work as a recruitment evangelist for Indeed, and I've got experience in CV reviews, networking strategies, interview preparation. Before joining Indeed, I worked for LinkedIn, and prior to that for the Department of Work and Pensions. And as you can see, you're joining me today here at home. I want to start by taking a moment just to acknowledge that the current situation we are in is not business as usual. And searching for a job is already challenging, but even more complicated when both you and employers are trying to take steps in the best interests of public health. So it's important that you know you're not alone, and we at Indeed are here to help you. Now, before we begin, I want to cover a few housekeeping items. You're in listen only modes. That means that you can hear us, but we can't hear you. We are recording. You will be able to view this webinar here on demand and also in a week or so on YouTube. And do ask questions. You can post here on the page. We've got a team of career coaches that will be answering those questions. And in this quick webinar, we're going to cover a lot, including how the coronavirus has impacted work and hiring, how to find work, how to stand out in a remote interview, and a few tips and best practices to make the most of working from home, because depending on the role, you might find yourself initially working from home, even if that wouldn't be ordinary practice. We'll also have some time at the end for questions, as I mentioned. Now, I've already introduced myself, and now I want to introduce you to Jack Kennedy. Jack is our UK economist at the Hiring Lab at Indeed, which is an international team of economists and researchers dedicated to delivering insights that help drive the global labour market conversation. The Hiring Lab produces research on global labour market topics using Indeed's proprietary data and publicly available sources. So let's jump in. Jack, do you want to get us started?
Thanks, Danny. As we all know, coronavirus has impacted nearly every facet of our lives. And as we strive to protect ourselves and our communities, many people are concerned about how this will impact their work and the future of their careers. The measures put in place to slow the spread of the virus has led to some sectors shutting down. But as we all adjust to a different way of life, the economy has also been adjusting. We've seen shifts in our patterns of producing, distributing, and consuming things. The result of these changes is that other sectors are actually hiring more. It's still relatively early days though, and the economic path is uncertain. In an Indeed survey, the top concern that people had about COVID-19 was taking a financial hit, with 35% of respondents indicating that was their main concern. But other concerns included caring for loved ones, 27%, contracting COVID-19 in the workplace, 26%, losing their job, 26%, spreading COVID-19 in the workplace, 25%, maintaining my mental health, 22%, challenges of working from home, 19%, and balancing childcare arrangements at 16%. So there are steps that you can take even in these uncertain times. Back to you, Danny.
Great, lovely. Thanks for that, Jack. It's always great to get an update from an economist as well on the call. Now, you're right, as we're embracing these new changes and shifts in our work culture and habits, many people are feeling pretty overwhelmed, I imagine. But there's some good news, whether you're in the midst of a job search, navigating the temporary or permanent loss of work, or struggling to stay focused while working from home. There's several steps you can take to potentially improve your outcomes. And we're going to run through some of those on this webinar today. I'm going to hit you with some quick data points. You've had some data from Jack, some data from me now. 90% of people in the UK are leaving home less than once a day, and 2 out of every 3 people say that they aren't meeting anyone outside of their homes, following the strict UK guidelines. 86% of adults in Great Britain said they were either very worried or somewhat worried that they or someone in their family would be infected by the coronavirus. And now it's important to stay informed, checking the news regularly. But what I would say, my kind of little tip here before we even get stuck into the job seeking piece, is maybe only check the news once a day. Choose a time of day to check it, maybe in the morning, but only do it once a day. I think that's really going to help you with staying mentally healthy and staying sane. I know it can be tempting to check the news 10, 20 times a day. You get the little updates, particularly if you have an iPhone. I would say just don't spend all of your time only looking at the news right now. Okay, so we're going to run through some ways to help you take care of yourself and stay positive despite the circumstances. Remember what's most important, that's your health and the health of your loved ones. So we're all adjusting. It's important we prioritize our mental and physical well-being. Be patient with yourself, with employers, with those around you as we all navigate these changes and determine the best next steps. Empower yourself to continue taking action when it comes to your job. And small actions can make a really big difference. So for example, go for a walk, drink plenty of water, make sure you're getting enough sleep. Doing that is going to help you ensure you stay focused on your work and on your job search. Now, that said, coronavirus has affected our industry and job types, at least to some degree. And currently we're seeing coronavirus impact work in 3 really unique ways. So there's a rapid spread of coronavirus has led to the cancellation of events and conferences. That's why you'll find me doing more virtual stuff rather than traveling the world speaking at events, which is ordinarily what I do. We've seen temporary closure of many retail stores, restaurants, bars, entertainment venues, gyms, which I'm missing, salons as well, trying to cut my own hair, goodness me, and other public facing businesses, leaving many people temporarily out of work. Some businesses have chosen to freeze or slow hiring activity, which can be discouraging for those currently seeking new opportunities. But the good news is many employers are still really actively hiring, and our data shows us that. They're adapting their hiring practices to current needs, so virtual interviews are becoming a popular alternative to the in-person experience. And finally, in an effort to slow the spread of the virus, many employers have asked their employees to work from home. So while that's a flexible work arrangement, which has plenty of benefits, it also presents a few challenges, especially for those who aren't accustomed to working from home or those with busy households and shared living spaces. So we'll talk a little bit about working from home, just in case you are successful with a new application and you're asked by the employer to initially work from home. So if you've become temporarily or permanently unemployed due to business closure or any other reason, it's likely that you need something you can start doing straight away and begin generating income immediately. But how can you find it and what can you do to increase your chances of success? Well, there's still plenty of demand for the type of frontline and essential workers that are needed. So a number of companies across these industries have announced hiring plans to meet their demand and help displaced workers. So we're seeing a lot around supermarkets, delivery, logistics companies, care homes, the NHS, online retailers, and you can find these job postings on Indeed, up to date and ready for applications. And if you're looking for something steadier, more long-term, or something that won't require you to venture outside, consider remote or work from home jobs as well. The share of job postings on Indeed that advertise remote or flexible working arrangements have been steadily rising for the past year, and that trend has continued in recent weeks. And now Indeed is updating our platform so employers can add new labels in the search results and on the job descriptions to make it really easy for you to see whether a job is fully remote or remote temporarily due to COVID-19. And remote work opportunities span a wide range of industries, job roles, experience levels. The best place to start is by identifying your top skills and determine which opportunities align with those strengths. So be sure to think about your transferable skills. So qualities that can be transferred from one job to another, easing that transition that you have and helping you be effective in your new job straight away. So for example, if you really excel in communication and typing and you're quite organized and you feel comfortable with software like Microsoft Office or G Suite, you might be well qualified for a job as a virtual assistant or a project manager. And if you've got experience in customer facing roles, especially answering questions, addressing concerns, taking feedback, resolving conflicts, then you might be well suited for work as a remote customer service representative. And if you enjoy writing and researching and have good command of grammar, then you might want to consider work as maybe a freelance content writer. Next, what you want to do once you've got your skills narrowed down is whittle down your searches to only the most relevant positions. And there's a few ways to search for remote jobs on Indeed. If you don't have a specific job title in mind, or you want the broadest possible results, you can just put remote keywords in the what box on Indeed. So you've got the what box and the where box. In the what box, you can put remote. You could put work at or work from home. You could even just type home based. I've seen some people searching telecommute or cyber commute now as well. And you could just leave the where box empty if you wanted to. Or if you have a job in mind, you can type the job title that you want in the what box and then use a remote keyword in the where box. So you could put remote under where instead. So experiment with different approaches. Because another option is even to type the job title paired with a remote keyword in the what box and then leave the where box blank. So remote project manager in this example here. And as you search, don't forget to set up job alerts so you're notified via email when new jobs that meet your criteria are posted to Indeed. And job alerts automate your job search and allow you to be among the first to see fresh job listings while reducing the pressure on you to continuously search. So effectively, you set a job alert and then Indeed's going to tell you when a new job has appeared that kind of matches the criteria you're looking for. You don't necessarily have to be looking every hour of the day. And you can change the frequency of your job alerts from daily to weekly, just simply by going to subscriptions.indeed.com or clicking email preferences from the top right drop-down menu on the Indeed homepage. If you feel like you're getting too many notifications, you can reduce those. You can also pause or delete your job alerts as well. So if you're successful, for example, you might want to pause those job alerts. And then once you've found a few opportunities you're interested in pursuing, the next step is to update your CV. So you want to focus on updating, first of all, your experience. So share how your work experience prepares you for the job that you want by listing your transferable skills. So for example, if you worked as a restaurant server or a retail associate, customer service assistant, and you're interested in a remote customer service role, highlight kind of how the aspects of your previous position apply to this new opportunity. So for example, building rapport with customers or using empathy to solve problems. Think about keywords as well. So Indeed is a search engine, so be sure to use keywords from the job postings within your CV itself, because that shows that you've got a strong attention to detail, that you understand the role fully, and it can be beneficial when employers are using screening software. So employers are searching for you as well if you've uploaded your CV, and they'll search for specific keywords. So for example, if the job posting says that they're looking for someone who has expertise in a specific software tool, and you do, be sure to list that software among your proficiencies on your CV. And then skills. You need to be sure to include both your soft skills, which are personal habits and traits, as well as hard skills, which are technical knowledge and training that you've gained through experience and education. So for example, your soft skills might consist of problem solving, dependability, while your hard skills are including things more like bilingual in English and Spanish, or maybe you're proficient in Tableau. Another option is gig work. Now, the gig economy is made up of independent workers who are paid by the task or project and typically take on multiple temporary jobs at one time. That's useful for anyone seeking to supplement or substitute full-time or part-time income. And most gig positions need people who can begin work immediately. And there's a few ways that you can find gig work amid the pandemic. So you can reach out to people within your personal, professional networks for a virtual coffee date. Ask if they have any leads on freelance opportunities that you can maybe complete virtually, and sign up for online marketplaces or on-demand apps where you can pick up jobs as they come in. So think about how gig workers are currently serving you. Are they driving you? Are they delivering your food? Think about where those opportunities might be. Additionally, make sure to update your CV and online profile to show your ability to juggle multiple projects simultaneously, an important quality in a gig worker. So using this opportunity to share any freelance projects that you've completed might be good. Consider what skills that you have that would prepare you for certain gigs. So for example, if you're highly organized and pay attention to detail, you might be a great grocery shopping or delivery worker. Consider how skills from gig jobs could be parlayed into different roles in the future. So for example, communication skills developed as a rideshare app driver could benefit you as a remote call center representative. Again, think of that conflict and customer service piece. Because most gig work is highly flexible, it can be easy to lose your routine, and that can really negatively impact your motivation. So try and keep a fixed schedule where you can. Even with your job search, keep a schedule, wake up at the same time every day, take regular breaks, schedule multiple coffee dates throughout the week with your contacts in case any new opportunities become available. Now, unfortunately, I need to mention is criminals are taking advantage of the pandemic and the sudden uptick in job seekers looking for remote opportunities. It's essential you take every possible precaution to protect yourself against potential scams. And there's a few things that you should always do when communicating with employers online. This is to stay safe. So be wary of those who want to conduct all of the communication only through a chat platform. That's a popular tactic used by scammers around the globe. Most employers will want to conduct interviews using Google Hangouts, Zoom that I'm using today through Facebook, Skype, another video tool, Blue Jeans. Always confirm employee contact information. So look for any kind of spoofed domains and non-corporate email addresses. So for example, indeed@gmail.com. That wouldn't sound right. It would be the name of the individual at indeed.com. And double check all the information by visiting the company website. Employers will often request phone numbers and email addresses from applicants, but be wary of any company that asks you to send your national insurance number or banking information. No, that would be a real red flag at the very start of the process anyway. And even if you know the company is legitimate and they're asking for that information as part of a background check or to set up payment, never send it via email or chat. That really just needs to be a conversation. If you believe you've been a victim of a scam, please flag the fraudulent activity. So you can, on Indeed, for example, you could hit report a job, report a message, go to the help center, or go to the support forum. Now, while coronavirus is slowing down business for some employers, others are looking to grow their workforce. But to help curb the spread of the virus and abide by government guidelines, many employers are shifting their hiring process. So in many cases, this means conducting interviews virtually. And if you've never completed a virtual interview before, I've got a few pointers for you. If you want to ace that virtual interview and ensure you shine just as brightly as if you were there in person, you need to consider three important elements. First of all, it's the setting, so your environment. Then it's your appearance, that's yours and the space that sits behind you, and your demeanor, so that's your etiquette and your behavior. And when you're selecting a place to conduct your virtual interview, choose wisely. So ideally, you'll want to pick a space that's well lit, it's quiet, has a reliable internet connection, and it's free from distractions. Before your interview, you want to be sure to complete a technology test run to ensure your computer, camera, microphone are all functioning correctly. And remember to switch your mobile phone to silent. If you're taking the interview call from home, be sure to secure your pets in another room, make sure family members or roommates are not going to interrupt you. It's a very important time. And then when you're going to select what you're actually going to wear for the virtual interview, follow the same rules as you would for an in-person interview. So take time to research the company culture so you know what's appropriate, but always err on the side of overdressed rather than underdressed. So if you're not sure, dress up rather than down. Avoid bright colors and vibrant patterns. Instead, try and choose soft colors so the camera will pick them up better. And if you wear a tie, be sure it's solid rather than patterned. Again, patterned ties and things can interfere with the camera. Adjust the lighting in the room so your face is well lit, and ensure that your background is professional and clear of any clutter or messiness. If possible, try and opt for a space with a blank wall. I made sure I tidied my kitchen earlier before starting this. And then it's going to be tempting to wear loungewear. Always wear a professional outfit. Do you know what? Even if you're not on video and you're taking a call, I always think dressed for the occasion. Include trousers or a skirt just in case you are on video and you have to stand up for any reason, okay? I've been parlayed to some awful situations. People have stood up and they certainly haven't been dressed for the occasion on the bottom half. Now, just when you're meeting with someone in person, it's essential to use proper etiquette and body language. So maintain your eye contact and give the interviewer your full and undivided attention. Maintain good posture, don't fidget or move around unnecessarily. Nod while you're listening, use hand gestures when appropriate. Otherwise, just rest your hands on your lap and keep a notebook and pen handy so you can take notes if pertinent. Now, sometimes technology, it does go awry, it goes wrong, it breaks down, and employers will understand. So if your audio stops functioning or you lose your internet connection, immediately contact the employer by phone or email and let them know and ask if you can complete the interview by phone or maybe reschedule. If there's a loud noise interrupting you or a family member or a pet enters the room, just apologise, mute your microphone, remedy the situation, and continue when the coast is clear. Don't get too flustered and give up. So just to recap, for a virtual interview checklist, it's checking you've got a quiet location for the call, remove any clutter from the background, ask others not to disturb you during the call, silence your computer, your phone notifications, do a dry run and test your camera, audio and internet connectivity, select professional attire to wear, sit up straight and maintain eye contact throughout the interview. Now, with the uncertainty surrounding coronavirus, keep in mind some employers may take longer to review and respond to applicants than usual. And in the meantime, continue applying to job openings, regularly reevaluate your skills to identify other potential strengths and tailor your CV and cover letter. Consult your personal and professional network to ask if they can refer you to any remote job openings. To prevent employees from getting sick and spreading the virus further, many employers have requested that their employees temporarily work from home. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm on week 7 of working from home, can you believe it? 36% of our survey respondents said that they can or may be able to work from home during this time. Some of you might find that if you are successful with a job application, you might initially be asked to work from home. And while it has many benefits, as I mentioned, working from home can be a difficult adjustment. So if you're not accustomed to working from home, you might find this new lifestyle quite challenging. There are several things you can do to mitigate distractions, stay motivated, and be just as productive as when you are in the office. If not, you might even be more productive. I work from home a lot anyway. I always have done, and I do find with certain activities, I'm more productive when I'm at home rather than in a busy office. And in fact, before the pandemic, as I said, when I was working from home, I was finding rehearsing for an event actually is easier for me to do from home. So there's a lot of positives to being able to work from home as well. One of the best ways that you can set yourself up for success while working from home is setting up a designated workspace. All of the tips I'm giving you now, by the way, are really useful in terms of your job searching from home as well. Have a designated workspace to job search. Even if you don't have a home office, you can create a workspace by setting up a temporary desk in a guest room or another low traffic area in your home. Even the kitchen corner, like I've gone for, that can suffice as long as you can avoid those distractions. Make sure the space is well lit and uncluttered in case you have to get on a video call. And when you work from home, the line between work and life can begin to blur. That's why it's crucial you adhere to a routine. So set specific working hours, dedicate your time and attention to your work duties, avoid household chores and prolonged personal conversations, just like you're in the workplace. Once your workday is complete, do your best to avoid checking your work email and responding to work-related calls and messages. Really have a line between your work life and your home life if you can. The stricter you are of your schedule, the better you'll adapt to your new work habit, and it's better for your mental health as well. And when you're working from home, it's tempted to stay in pajamas all day. Remember, your routine habits have an effect on your mindset as well. So showering, brushing your teeth, dressing for the day, you'll feel much more professional and prepared for the day ahead. It's okay to dress comfortably, but try to avoid wearing your sleeping clothes when you're working or job searching. And because you're home all day, your family and friends might assume that you're always available. That's why it's crucial to set the expectation right away. Let people know your work hours, your availability for socializing. So for example, if you're at home with a partner, let them know that you'll be available to talk with them during your lunch break. Let them know when the lunch break's going to be. Take a lunch break. If you're working from home with small children, set the boundaries because that can be much more challenging to do. Consider setting up a schedule with your partner or another family member where you'll take turns caring for the children. Work with your employer to find the best solution. So for example, you might need to split your workday into 2 4-hour shifts, one early in the morning and one later in the evening with your childcare duties in between. On the most part, employers will understand, just speak to them. Excuse me. It's really easy to become consumed with your work when you don't have the same natural breaks in your day, like your commute, lunch outings with co-workers, social chats before meetings. But it's still really critical that you take time to step away from your work. You'll be amazed at how much better you feel after eating a snack, going outside for some fresh air, rolling out a yoga mat for some midday stretching. And after you take a break, you'll feel rejuvenated and much more focused on the day's remaining tasks. So many changes at once, plus the uncertainty of our current circumstances, can be difficult to manage, but people and businesses are already finding many new and unique ways to adapt. Remember, we're all in this together. Now, I know a lot of questions have been coming through. I can see them popping up on the chat and in Facebook. I'm going to go through some of those frequently asked ones, and then I'm going to open it up for Jack to support me on some of these questions as well. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is just run through a couple of the typically asked questions that I preempted before this call. There's some questions I knew you would ask, and here they are. So are there any remote jobs that I can do even if I have little to no experience? First, if your career isn't something that you can do remotely, you might be wondering if that there are options still available to you. And yeah, you know, there's data entry roles, audio transcription roles. Often they can be performed without experience from home even. Another question to that might be, for example, what should I do if I haven't heard back from a prospective employer? Answer here, be patient. Many businesses are rapidly shifting their processes right now and might take longer than normal to respond to applications. How can I concentrate when I'm working at home with my family? It's not easy, but be flexible. Be creative with your schedule to accommodate current circumstances. Okay, what we'll do now then is we're going to open up for the questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my slides. And we're going to see what questions have come in. I have here. So let me just scroll through. There's a lot there. Well done to our team for kind of keeping on top of those. So I've got a question here from Durham again. This question is, I have been furloughed by my current employer. Can I look for work elsewhere? That's a really good question. You might not know what the law is once you've been furloughed. Actually, yeah, you can still look for a new employer as long as you're not kind of breaching any existing contracts. And also remember the coronavirus government restrictions as well. So still, of course, you can apply for new roles, but just look at what that role actually is. Are you going to be able to do it? And make sure that if you're still technically employed, that your employer knows what you're up to. Let's take another question. Question from Rosaline Kareem. Rosaline's question is, I'm very concerned that there will not be jobs in my industry after the lockdown due to business closures. Should I be looking to change fields? Jack, I'm going to bounce that one to you.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're still very early, both in this health crisis and this economic crisis. So I think we're at a point where it's quite hard to make longer term guesses about the types of jobs that may be harder or easier to find in the future. So I think when thinking about making career changes, it's important to keep that longer term perspective in mind. The types of jobs that we're seeing big increases for right now, things like delivery and retail, these are likely to be temporary spikes. And the sectors that are hiring very few people at the moment, that's also likely to be a temporary phenomenon. We don't know yet whether temporary means a few months or possibly longer, but we do know that at some point we're likely to get back to some of the longer term patterns of job growth and stronger growth in areas like healthcare, professional services and tech, and slower growth in things like manufacturing and some kinds of office and clerical work. So I think in the longer term, those are the sort of longer term trends that we're likely to get back to. So I think at this point, it's probably still quite early to be thinking about making a career change, even if that's some bigger changes over the next few months.
Thanks for that, Jack. That was a great answer. I can't imagine anyone could have answered that question any better than that. I've got another question here from Faye Wright. So Faye asks, for those supposed to be graduating this May, how should we be preparing to enter the workforce now, and what should we expect? It's a good question.
Yeah, so I think we know it's going to be a tough labour market to graduate into. We're in a world where we're not going to have the low unemployment rates that we've had for the past few years. But a degree, I think, is still a very good investment in the long run. There's no question that people with degrees earn more and have lower unemployment rates, even though it's true that the market that you graduate into does have an effect on your career path, even after that initial period. I think there's a couple of things to keep in mind, though. People that are in good, secure jobs right now, those that do have experience, probably aren't going to be as likely to be looking to change jobs because of the uncertain environment. So there's perhaps a little bit less competition from those people. And also, I think some of the sectors where we're seeing the biggest shifts in the job market right now, things like tourism, retail, delivery, food service, are perhaps not the areas that typically hire large number of graduates. So I think overall, probably the market for people with degrees might be a little bit more stable than the rest of the labour market, but it's certainly true that it's going to be a challenging period for job seekers right now.
Great, thank you. Time for one last question. There's so many, which one do I choose? Okay, from Jane Toomey, who asks, I'm looking at a change of career and want to utilise my time doing online courses. She's in health and social care. It's a minefield of who to do them with and if employers actually accept these. Any guidance on this? So I'll pick this one up first, and Jack, if you have any additional thoughts, then please chime in. I think in terms of this time that you have, it's really wise to use it to broaden your skills. I'm a fan of always be learning. I've been reading a lot of additional books around not just kind of content that might be interesting to the people that I work with or team members or customers, but also content that helps me be better at my job as well, in terms of how to deliver, how to present. And I think the same goes in any industry. I think particularly with health and social care, there's a lot out there. My mum and sister both work in health and social care, actually. So this is a great question for me to answer. And I know they're using time to build on their qualifications, have better understandings of the CQC, for example, and what good looks like. I would say a lot of employers at the minute are doing their bit to inform both existing employees and potential employees or job seekers what qualifications are best to take up, what best learning is. Go to the big players in your sector, go to the big organizations that you would like to work for, and go on their career sites, go on their websites, follow their social channels, not just commercial channels. A lot of companies now will now have Twitters, will now have Facebook, Instagram, specifically for job seekers, and see what they have to say. They'll often be recommending additional trails of learning to take on. Jack, was there anything you'd add to that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you can demonstrate to an employer that you've been using the time productively in that sort of way, that can only be a sort of major plus point as well.
Wonderful. Okay, that's all for questions. I'm going to wrap up just over the next minute or so. I just wanted to read out one bit of feedback. It's very lovely. Thank you, Susan Smith. 4th webinar I've attended this week. Hands down the most helpful, a decent, respectful conversation without the customary infantilizing preaching. Thank you. Easy for me to say, hey. No, that's lovely. And if you didn't get a chance to join this webinar from the start, you can go back and see the recording. Maybe you've got a friend, a family member that might benefit from some of the tips that we've given today. So do feel free then to share that. What I'm going to do is just go back to the presentation to wrap up. So hopefully you're back seeing that now. The resource page that you're seeing here has a range of information about navigating job search during COVID-19. So all of those resources you can find using that link on the screen there. That's indeed.co.uk/career-advice. Also be sure to check out indeed.com/community. It's a safe space for discussing job search with peers and getting help from career coaches. So that's all for today. For any of the latest information from Indeed, you can follow us on social media. We're pretty much on every social channel going, and we'll continue to share relevant updates there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jack, as well for joining, and have a good day, everyone.